Alright, hey guys, welcome to part 10 of my ActionScript 3 platformer tutorial. Today we're going to talk about having multiple maps and using the doors that we talked about in the last tutorial to go between them. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our map array, and we're actually going to make this a maps instead of just one map. And we're going to put the whole map that we already have inside another set of brackets. And then put a comma after that, and we can just copy this and then get rid of the comma at the end. What I'm going to do is, just so I have a blank slate, copy and paste the top row of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 into all of them, and then I'm going to just kind of impromptu design a map right here. So we're going to have a block in this little bottom corner block here. We want to have the door in the same place. So let's see, that's 4 up in the fourth column from the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But instead of making it a 5, I'm going to make it a 6, and then we're going to want a 1 underneath it so that you can actually be standing when you come through the door. Then we're going to have, let's say, put something here, here, and then we're going to make a nice little platformed area here, and I'm going to put an enemy in here, and then the key right there. I'm going to put another block here, and another enemy. So that's just a little really basic level. That should work fine. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this whole map creating for loop in a for loop that we have, and I'm going to cut it, take it all out, and we're going to make a new function, public function. I'm going to call it load map, and we're going to take in a variable. It's going to be index int. We can paste it all back in, and then what we're going to do is, this is actually going to now be, well, instead of being map, it's going to be maps, of course, but we're going to have this 0 up on this one as well, and on this one. So now we have a 0 and then 2 zeros. And now for each one of these individual things, we're going to say maps, and then bracket index, close bracket. And I'm just going to copy that s brackets index and paste it down into all 5. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this again, this one for the door. We're going to make a 6 as well, and it's also going to be a door, but I'm going to go into the door class, and I'm going to give us a variable, and it's going to be dest int here, public var dest int equals 0, and then this dot dest equals dest. We got that. Now up here we're going to say, for the 5 one, we're going to say 1, and for the 6 one, we're going to say 0. So now we have our other map, and we have that. Next thing we need to do is, so that the previous map doesn't get confused with the other map, we're going to add a, well, first off we need to put in here load map 0. That's going to be the thing that's going to put the map on the screen in the first place when we load the game. But we need to put in here, we're going to take all of our arrays up here of all of our different things that are in the actual camera, and I'm just going to paste them in here. We don't need private var. I'm going to tab these over, and then we don't need the colon array either. Okay, so now we clear out all of the arrays so that we're going to have a clean slate, and then we're going to put an if statement, if cam.numChildren is greater than 1. So this means we don't want to run this delete everything and then re-put everything code right when we start it, because if we do that, it's going to try and delete everything that isn't there, and then it's going to throw some errors because it's going to say, but there's nothing there. So we're going to have this if statement, and this will run every time except the first time, because we have this if statement that only lets it run if there's more than one child, because there's only going to be one child by the time this runs, because the cam only adds the char right there, and there's nowhere else where it adds anything until in the function, so it won't run the first time, and that's what we want. In here we're going to put a while loop that says cam.numChildren is greater than 0, cam.removeChild at 0. So what that's going to do is that's just going to delete everything in the camera so that we don't have anything. And then down at the bottom here, we want to add, after all these if statements in this for loop, after the for loop, we're going to say cam.addChild char. Because it's deleting everything, we still want our character to be there, and we still want it to be on top. So after it loads everything else in the level, we will put the cam down here. So last thing we need to do really is go down to our door and add another and key count is greater than 0, and then in here say load map doors w.dest. Now we save this, run it, give it a sec to build, and it should run just fine. Quick kill our first enemy, kill our other enemy, kill all the enemies, go up here, get the key, and now we're in this other map that I made. And now we can get this key and go right back. And this could repeat over and over again, but you'll probably notice the same thing that I do, is the fact that if you're going back and forth between the same room, you don't want the enemies and the coins and everything to still be there the second time. But before we address that, I want to add a text box for the number of keys that you have. So right under our enemy name box, I'm going to say key text box. Get text field equals new text field. And down in here we will say, let's say key text box dot x equals about 350. Key text box dot y equals 10. Key text box dot default text format equals text style. And then down in our check stuff, key text box dot text equals keys. Now we run it again. Oh, real quick, forgot to say up here at the end, add child key text box. There we go. Oh, I put the wrong thing in. Where'd it go? Alright, yeah, we don't want to say keys here, we want to say key count, because keys is actually the array of keys, and we don't want to print that, because like you saw, it just gives us the object. Oh, I'm pretty sure the rest of this text box is stuck behind that bar. We don't want it to be as far over as it is. Let's make it 400. Yeah, there we go, that's perfect. You see when we pick up the key, it goes up to 1. When we change rooms, it goes back to 0. So the next thing I want to do is I want to make it so that the key doesn't actually show up until all the enemies have been killed. Because we want it to be something where you go from room to room and you have to kill all the enemies to get to the key so you can keep going to the next room. So what we're going to do is we're going to add into this not just having this check obj return a boolean, we're also going to have it be past the array of enemies. And now we go back in here, and in our key for loop in our check stuff function, we go ahead put char enemies, and we're going to change this from returning a boolean to returning an int. So it's going to say if it is true, that's going to be 2, false is going to be 0. But before all this stuff, we want to have if enums.length is equal to 0, return 1. Now we can go back here, and in this part, where'd it go? Here we go. If it's equal to 2, we keep the stuff that's here. And then we're also going to put if it's equal to 1, that's actually when we're going to add child keys W. And up here in our keys, we're going to get rid of this add child. And that isn't actually going to change whether or not we can pick up the key, it's just going to change whether it's visible. So we also want to go back in here and say we're going to add a variable to our key, keys w that is equals true. And we'll say public var viz, make it a boolean, set it to false, and then we'll say in here, in order for it to return 2, it also has to be visible. So now we go ahead and test this again. There's no key there. But we go ahead, kill all the enemies. There it is. It's not letting me pick it up now. Oh, okay, it's going to keep returning 1. So we're going to have to put this after this, because when something returns, it doesn't run the rest of the function. So if we switch the order of those two, there we go. So now we can go back and forth like that, and the key doesn't show up until all of the enemies are dead. And once they are, the key shows up. Grab it and go back to the other room. Next tutorial, I'm going to talk about actually saving the state of each room when you leave it, so we don't have all the enemies reload when we come back. And then after that, we're going to get into more stuff with mechanics like keys and doors, more platform mechanics that are more common of higher level platformers. So I'll see you guys next time.